I know somebody who is at the Super Bowl.
Woohoo!
Roy Lang from the Times. Hey, Mr. Roy, how are you today?
How's it going, my friend?
So you put up, it was on Facebook. I'm sure it was on Twitter somewhere. I can't believe you wrote that this is happening. Was it the greatest game of all time that you ever saw?
It was certainly the most spectacular finish, I think, from start to finish. I think early in that game, a lot of people maybe thought it was a snoozer, but how that finished and just give them all the circumstances, backstory with the Patriots and Brady and Deflategate and all that stuff, him winning the fifth, it certainly culminated in the craziest, best ending. There's no doubt about that.
You were in the press box. What was the mood as professionals?
A lot of work that we had done over the last 2 hours just got torn up. It was a common feeling. I think a lot of people had their Atlanta stories written, and for, heck, it's hard to argue with it. I mean, you got to get work done because deadline is there, and then all of a sudden here comes Tom Brady, and you got to rip up all your work and start from scratch. But, that's why I cover these games at least, to see stuff like that, see the emotion. So it was an interesting feeling in the press box of like, all this work we've done for the last couple hours is about to go out the window.
That's funny because one of the Boston papers, the early edition, had Atlanta winning. I guess you've heard about it.
Dewey defeat?
Yeah, that was. I'm not sure how that happened. I don't get it, but that was very unfortunate.
I was going to say there was the traditional Dewey defeats Truman moment.
Right.
Anything huge surprise you about the game?
I think the way New England got dominated for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game certainly was a surprise to me. I actually picked Atlanta to win the game, so I was happy about that. But, and then there's just the second half. It was a great comeback, and obviously Tom Brady and the Patriots deserve everything they get. But
where was Atlanta's offense in the second half?
Right. Well, they weren't on the field. That was the one thing. The craziest thing for me from that game, 40 minutes of possession by New England. You just never see that. And then in order to have that comeback, not only does New England have to do absolutely everything right, Atlanta has to help them. And two big plays by Atlanta helped them, and it was the perfect combination to get New England into overtime. And, everything had to happen perfectly for New England the last, quarter and a half, and it did.
And did you spend much time with the players after the game? What'd you see and hear?
Well, and that's what I'm going to probably take away the most in terms of reaction is normally you got obviously the complete dejection by Atlanta, and then you're just going to have utter celebration and jubilation from Patriots. Now, they were happy, but it was some of the worst interviews. They roll people into this. They got like 10 podiums, and they roll people in and out. They were some of the worst interviews because they could not describe what just happened. They were in disbelief, and this is, 30 minutes after the game because they had that presentation on the field. So you're talking 30 minutes, and players just could not believe what they saw. They really were struggling for words even a half an hour after the game to even try and tell us what happened. They were happy, no doubt about it. But they were stunned. I mean, that's how crazy the comeback was.
That's a hell of a point you make because as I watched the interviews with the Atlanta coaching staff and Matt Ryan postgame, they didn't seem stunned by what had happened. It hadn't hit them yet what had actually occurred.
I totally agree. There wasn't a lot of helmet throwing and, guys mad and this and that. It was the sense from the players was, wait a minute, we're going to have to go watch this game back on TV to make sure this is really what happened. And seriously, when I left Houston and got home, I was still like, did that really happen? It was pretty incredible. It was certainly something I'll never forget. And kudos to both of those teams because the way Atlanta handled the defeat, and then Brady. I mean, you either love him or hate him, I think, at this point. But he had every opportunity to sort of raise the double bird to the NFL and Goodell and this and that after all that, and he could not have handled it with more class. He said, this is not about redemption. This is all positive. I'm going to experience it with my family, and we did this as a team. And so I thought that was great. He had every opportunity to take a shot at the NFL and didn't do it.
Okay, Roy, let me ask you this, because I was an Atlanta fan too, a little bit miffed about how the overtime ends. Do you think that will change? Should Atlanta have at least had a chance to touch the ball?
Well, it's better than what we used to have, but would I mind seeing both teams get at least a possession? Now, if New England kicks a field goal, Atlanta does get a chance. So that wouldn't have ended it, but a touchdown does. I like it the way it is, but it definitely can get better. But I think, then you risk how long are these games going to go on and stuff like that. But we're better than we used to be with ties, obviously. I like the NFL because it's more football. I mean, you put in college, you're already in scoring position. I would, as a fan, I would love to see both teams get a possession. Now, I understand that, there's a lot more that goes into that. But certainly it's not perfect by any stretch. I mean, fine, if New England scores, all right, Atlanta, here you go. Here's your last chance. But, then you could have been there until, who knows when.